everyone, and good evening. Welcome to Reality Spills. I am Mama J, also known as Jackie. I am actually solo tonight. It's the first time I've ever been solo, I think, ever on a stream. So, bear with me. Unfortunately, Jack is sick today, like not good. So, everyone say a little prayer for him and yeah, just make him feel loved. So, hey, hello. So I'm gonna just jump right into it because I actually don't have that much time tonight myself because there's like a lot of stuff going on uh as there is a lot of stuff going on in the whole Epstein situation. But before we got into the Epstein thing, I just wanted to go over some birthdays that we have today. So today, February 4th, is Ferdinand Magellan's birthday. Yay. He's dead. It's okay. Also, Rosa Parks' birthday was on the 4th of February. Alice Cooper, his birthday's today. He actually turned 77. And I don't know if you all remember the cute kid from The Little Rascals, Bug Hall. He is, I think he's 40 today? 41 today. And then, of course, the one that we all love and adore because he loves Parmesan more than a pizza. It's Hunter Biden's birthday today. Happy birthday. You made it. Okay. So I'm going to do the best that I can today. My camera doesn't want to focus and all that other stuff, and I'm like all over the place. But so I wanted to talk about the Epstein Files because it's something that everyone's talking about. Yes, I know. But there's a lot of misinformation and stuff out there and a lot of clickbait and everything. And as a person who has spent countless hours at this point, well, I guess, I spent all weekend and when they first came out, just going over them, poring over them, looking at different things, looking at things that people probably weren't looking at. Like I wasn't the typical person like, oh, I'm going to look up Bill Gates. I'm going to look up Trump. I was like, I'm going to look up cloning, things like that. And then that put me down a whole rabbit hole in itself. So one thing I wanted to start off with is when I was first looking into all of this, I didn't realize that back in 2008, when Epstein was charged and he was sent to jail for what is it? I think it was like 13 months in prison, but he had like a work release or whatever, that it was just a state thing. I didn't realize that it was just a state thing and not as a federal thing. So it was just the state that charged him with, actually, he pled guilty to felony charges of soliciting a prostitute and procuring a child for prostitution. But in 2019, when he was arrested again, but by the feds up in New York, and he was charged in the Southern District of New York, they kind of used the same charges and situations that they did for the 2008 arrest. Like, let me bring this up just to show you what I'm looking at. And if I'm like looking off and you're like, what the hell is she looking at? It's because I have another screen over here and that's what I'm looking at. So this is what I have for you right here. So this was released back in July of 2019 when Epstein was arrested. I think it was on the 6th. So let me move this over here. Okay. So the Southern District of New York announced that Jeffrey Epstein was arrested Saturday and charged with sex trafficking of minors and conspiracy to commit sex trafficking of minors. The indictment unsealed today alleges that between 2002 through 2005, Epstein's sexually exploited and abused dozens of young girls by enticing them to engage in sex acts with him in exchange for money. Epstein alleged to work with several employees and associates to ensure that he had a steady supply of minor victims to abuse and paid several of those victims themselves to recruit other underage girls to engage in similar sex acts for money. He committed these offenses in locations including New York, and Palm Beach, Florida. Epstein is expected to be presented in Manhattan federal court, blah, blah, blah. Okay. They also state here they have the FBI number and such for people to just like send information or whatever if they had any information regarding Epstein and his doings and stuff. And I think that's a lot of things that we are actually seeing in files today. Some may be credible, others not. Because once this kind of happened in 2019, kind of the floodgates were open and everyone started actually looking into like, who is this Epstein guy? Like, what is Little St. James? What is this pedo island? That's when we started talking like, about Bill Clinton, Hillary Clinton, all those people. And so there's like a treasure trove of people who had sent in tips. Now, I know one thing that people have been upset about is with Todd Blanche saying that he is, he's not going to prosecute anybody further, right? And I just wanted to play him on Laura Ingraham real quick just to see what he said, because I don't think it's fully what people had made it out to be, because if there is an ongoing investigation into people, you wouldn't want them to know, like, hey, there's an ongoing investigation. You want to make them sweat a little bit. You want them to sweat it out. So let me know if you can hear.
We will, but it's also some of the people we saw on camera at the rallies. Is there any chance that any of these individuals who partied with Epstein and engaged in relations with minors will be prosecuted? Any chance?
I'll never say no, and we will always investigate any evidence of misconduct. But as you know, it is not a crime to party with Mr. Epstein, and so as horrible as it's not a crime to email with Mr. Epstein. And some of these men may have done horrible things, and if we have evidence that allows us to prosecute them, you better believe we will. But it's also the kind of thing that the American people need to understand, that it isn't a crime to party with Mr. Epstein. It isn't a crime to have
Didn't look like that's all that was going on some of those photos. I mean, if the photos could speak, some of them look pretty bad.
That's right. And unfortunately, photos can't speak. And so we need witnesses, and we need
evidence. Are there videotapes that you all have? Or some of the people we saw on camera at the rally?
So that's all we have on that. But I think a point that some may be missing, because I don't know everything, right? Like, I don't know everything. Not everybody knows everything. Is a lot of the emails and stuff really do look bad. And as he said, partying with Epstein isn't a crime, blah, blah, blah. And what everyone is freaking out about now is actually all the names that are in the file. So it basically has everyone in a frenzy. And one thing that I just kind of noticed, and it's just kind of something that I just observed, is that, so, Epstein went down for his crimes back I said went down, like it was like really BS prosecution, like 13 months and anyway, on a work release, like, come on. But afterwards, you would think that he would have been persona non grata, and he wasn't. People were actively reaching out to him. A lot of the emails that I was going through, especially when he talked about even like Trump in the election in 2016, a lot of people were actually reaching out to him, being like keeping him abreast of situations and of different things. And as you kind of look into it, it's just like people were clandestinely being still friends with him. I don't know if it's a money thing, if it was a blackmail thing, being like, hey, you still need to keep me around. and keep me in the loop of things, or else I'm going to tell people what I know about you. But there's a lot of different things and dirt that needs to be uncovered. One other thing I wanted to bring up too, before I get into some other stuff and get into some of the files and such that I found myself, I wanted to. So Dan Bongino came back on the scene on his radio show. Well, I guess it was not his radio show, but his podcast, and I don't know what to say. Like, excuse me. I loved Dan Bongino for a while, and I was kind of like everybody when he got into the FBI, and him and Kash Patel did kind of like, what was it? The looked like the hostage video saying that Epstein actually did off himself. He explains in his first show back basically the situation in his purview. Now, you can take it with what you will, but I mean, with everything, you need to just like keep a lot of things in your back pocket. All right. Thank you. Yes, he's not returning to his radio show. Thank you, Rick. But I wanted to play what he said because I think it is kind of important to just hear it. And if you don't believe it, that's fine. But like I said, it's something that you can just keep in your back pocket for later. Because like I said, when it comes to these files, all it has done so far is just gotten everybody into a frenzy. And I described it in the description. It's like that Spiderman FBI meme. Everyone's pointing fingers at each other, and some of the stuff that's out there doesn't have context, and there needs to be context because the stuff that happened was serious, and we need to take it serious and not just throw shit up against the wall or make stuff up just to make somebody look bad because you think that they're an asshole or whatever. And it needs to be dealt with respectfully and also truthfully, I think. Because a lot of things that I've seen out there, it's like if someone would just scratch another layer further, they would see, oh, hey, this isn't entirely true in the context that you're trying to present it to other people. And it's just not fair to the victims, and it's also not fair to the people that you're trying to put on blast as well, because like Epstein is basically a atomic bomb when it comes to someone's reputation. So here's Dan Bongino on his first show back. Like I said, he's talking about how when you're in these type of positions, you have level 10 decisions that you have to make. Some of them are, not everyone's going to like them, and you have to see which one sucks the less, pretty much. And this is his explanation about the whole Epstein situation. So
it was a level 10 problem. It was never going to please everyone. The person I thought at the time who nailed what the issues were with this was our good friend Mike Davis. I'll play the CNN one, the clip next, but throw up Davis's tweet. There were a ton of problems with this. There was grand jury material. There was he put this out. He's anyone who rapes kids deserves the death penalty. Amen.
Agreed.
Here's the problem with the Epstein mess. The FBI doesn't have the evidence many thought it did. I want to see the files, folks. I said, don't let it go. I meant it. We got elected. We looked at it. The file was not what was in there, was not what we thought would be in there. There are not tapes with powerful men raping kids. There is not a list. Epstein's Rolodex was already public. The file's largely unreleasable for many reasons, including grand jury material, which they're moving to get a lot of that out. Court records under seal, child pornography that was downloaded from the internet. You can read the rest of it. Protection of victims. We obviously don't want victims' names out there. Here's another one. Keep that up for a second. Double or triple hearsay. You're seeing it now. You're seeing on Twitter, like this guy said, Joey Bag of Donuts, cut this woman with a razor, or this young girl while raping her. And you're like, wow, that's a really horrible story. It's terrible. And then you find out Joey Bag of Donuts was some famous athlete who was playing a game in Phoenix that night. Like a lot of this stuff was just people called, not all, by the way, not all of it. This is an extremely serious case. Let me be crystal clear. But that doesn't mean every single tip that came in had any kind of veracity to it at all. A lot of the stuff was clearly debunked. He said, does anyone believe Bondi, Patel, or Bongino would cover up for Bill Clinton or Bill Gates? Didn't even make sense. I was all over this case on my show. The Trump DOJ wanted to be fully transparent, but it couldn't at the time for the reasons above. It's not going to satisfy many, and that's fine. But folks, I'm not going to spend the next 2 years talking about it. This administration got you the information. You can all look at it. And a lot of people are using it to divide us from the inside. Those are just the facts. That's just the way it goes.
Okay. I feel like I can agree with him a bit, but not entirely. When it comes to something like this is huge. This is a lot. This is serious stuff. And I know a lot of people were upset with Todd Blanche saying that there isn't additional prosecutions going on right now or what have you. But if you're going to, especially with the caliber of people, right? If you think about, if it was just Joe Schmo or whatever on the street, I'm sure that they would easily be like, all right, we'll find something, But when you have these people of this high level, which it's unfair, yes, with this level, this caliber, I mean, you have ex-presidents, you've got people who are all over the spectrum of finance, of science, of Hollywood, and you really need to have, you have to have a cut and dry, slam the door shut case on something like this. And I think about it now, like as I'm talking, I'm just kind of like, oh, well, if you present some of the stuff to some people and a jury of the person's peers, I think majority of them would be like, just throw the book at them. But I don't know. We will see how much this madness goes on because, and I feel bad for calling it madness, but it kind of is right now because everybody's just chomping at the bit to like get that person or what have you. All right. Well, one thing that I actually thought was interesting too about this whole Epstein Files, it compared to Ghislaine Maxwell. Like, what's that bitch doing? Like, what's she doing? Is she talking? Like, that would be something interesting that people would probably want to know. Is she talking? Is she actually naming names? Like, she would be, like a fact witness, a firsthand witness on some acts that could have been happening and such. But what's interesting about her charges was that, now keep in mind, Epstein's was from activities that had happened between 2002 and 2008. But when Ghislaine Maxwell's charges came up, it was this. Let me show you. It's just this little highlighted part right here. It says from at least 1994 up to and including or about 2004, Ghislaine Maxwell assisted, facilitated, and participated in Jeffrey Epstein's abuse of minor girls by, among other things, helping him recruit, groom, and ultimately abuse victims known to Maxwell and Epstein to be under the age of 18. The victims were as young as 14 when they were groomed and abused by Maxwell and Epstein. Both of them knew that the victims were, in fact, minors. Now, in her case, in this federal case, she got what I think was like, let me pull this up so I can actually show it to you. So she got what was she? Is it like 200? Oh, I think it was at the. Yeah, she got 240 months in prison for her role, right? And 5 years of supervised release in order to pay a $750,000 fine based on her things. But the dates are curious because it's between 1994 to 2004. So that would make one think that there had to be other evidence and stuff against Epstein earlier on. And why wasn't that used in his 2019 charges or conviction? Like, it kind of feels like what the FBI did for the 2019 case was basically copy and paste whatever happened in the state and then just put like, oh, this is now a federal case. So when Bongino says that these cases were not what do you say, done properly or whatever, I believe it. Oh my God. Hey, can you all hear me? So, yeah, I don't know. I'm on my phone right now because, fuck it, we'll do it live, right? Okay, let me get this layout. Okay. Hi. I don't even know where I was in the whole conversation. But yeah, my internet died. I'm on my data on my phone. So Rick, I see you in here. Thank you for your patience. Can you please tell me where I was in this conversation? Because I was in something good and then all of a sudden it died. So that would be much appreciated. So, okay. I think I remember where I was. I'm going to do this for another probably like few minutes because there's actually stuff I wanted to show you that was really good. But what I was saying before is that what I think what happened with the Epstein case is that all the federal government did was just copy and paste whatever happened with the state of Florida. And that's what they did. They didn't take any time to even look even deeper or anything that even happened after 2005. Like, the guy was arrested and put in jail in 2008. What happened in 2006, 2007, 2008 before he actually was arrested? And the FBI didn't do any other follow-up on there. There was a treasure trove of actually like emails that we have seen of connections with Epstein and all these other people, even after he was in jail for the solicitation and the prostitution of minors, by the way. So just do more. They needed to do more. I'm sure there's a lot out there that they can dig into. Like, hello, Al Capone didn't go down for being a gangster. He went down for tax evasion. There's stuff there, So welcome to my TED Talk. Thank you for being here. Let's see. All right. Well, what else I was going to actually go over with you guys today is I actually found a few things. So Stu Peters on his Twitter, he put up a post, and it was the one thing I will appreciate. Let me say this. The people who are actually posting things on X that are related to the Epstein Files, the ones that I appreciate the most, who are the ones who actually put the case number or the file number in their post. So us people who like to sleuth and nosy bitches like myself can go in and find it. All you have to do is just type in what that number is, the EFTA, blah, 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 and you can actually find the document that they're talking about. I do highly suggest to actually do that when you see something on the internet, especially if they have the file numbers, to go into just to make sure that what you're seeing and what they're displaying is actually the truth. So Stu Peters, I do appreciate his work on a lot of things, but he did put something out, and I just want to make a little bit of a clarification. It doesn't mean it's 100% true. It doesn't mean that it's 100% false. So there is a file, it's EFTA 00, I think it's 4 zeros. It's 9 and then 90314. Now, this is an FD 1023 form. Now, a federal 1023 form, for those who don't know, like myself who did not know until I actually looked it up, It's a federal document that's used by special agents to record unverified raw information obtained from confidential human sources, which is also known as CHSs. SSs. Anyway, these reports document tips or allegations relevant to an investigation like terrorism or crime, but they do not establish credibility or reflect a verified investigative conclusions. Now, Stu Peters had posted a VDF. Oh my God. This is not the Bill Clinton one, or the Bill Gates one that talked about him having an STD and trying to drug his wife. Okay, what am I talking about? This is an FD 1023 form that was actually filled out on the 19th of October of 2020 in Los Angeles. Now, he had pointed out, Stu Peters, that in this form, that in this form, it said Jeffrey Epstein was represented by Alan Dershowitz, the confidential human source, the CHS. Remember Dershowitz tell Alex Acosta, the U.S. Attorney of Southern District of Florida at the time. By the way, they spelled Acosta wrong. They spelled it Acosta, not Acosta. Anyway, that Epstein belonged to both the United States and Allied intelligence services. The CHS shared phone calls between Dershowitz and Epstein, during which he or she took notes. Okay. After these calls, Mossad would then call Dershowitz to debrief Epstein. Epstein was close to the former Prime Minister of Israel, Ehud Barak. And through I've seen his name a few times in the sleuthing that I have done, and everything. So I know that they had contact. Okay, and he trained. Okay, so Ehud Barak. Okay, let me go back. So Epstein was close to the former Prime Minister of Israel, Ehud Barak, and trained as a spy under him. Barak believed Netanyahu was a criminal. Saudi Arabia, Israel, and the UAE are aligned against Qatar, Turkey, Iran, and Syria. One of CHS's redacted, who presumably worked redacted, asked CHS a lot of questions about Epstein. CHS became convinced that Epstein was a co-opted Mossad agent. Yeah. Let me see. Can I pull that up? Show on stage. Okay. What does it say? Virginia Giuffre said over and over that Dershowitz was one of the abusers and no one would believe her. Girl, let me tell you, I have been screaming this since I think like 2019 or whatever, because Alan Dershowitz, oh God, I really wish my internet was working because then I could pull it up for you, because Alan Dershowitz was actually on a call or I don't know, he was doing an interview or whatever, and he was like, oh well, I've gotten a massage before, but I kept my underwear on. Like, that makes it even better. Are you kidding me? Like, if you had any suspicion that there was a young girl massaging you who you weren't like, hey, do you actually have a massage license? You're just like, okay, I'm just gonna do this now. Like, come on, bro. So anytime everyone brings up Alan Dershowitz, I'm like, yeah, did he have his pants on? You know, so don't get me started with that one. Anyway, so my point of bringing up this whole thing from Stu Peters was that even though like this seems like a slam dunk, I always, you have to have that little thing of, all right, but did anything else come of it? Like, you know, and I understand like there can be conspiracy, people wanting to suppress information because if that is true, could blow up a lot of stuff. But in all of it, it just, being cautious is okay. And like I always say, I feel like it should be even a shirt for me. Keep things in your back pocket. Always need to keep things in your back pocket because you never know when you're going to need to bring them out again. So, I actually did. I don't know if you guys want me to actually go through some of the things that I had seen on here. Now, I can't show it to you, or else I would. But let's see, just a few, just like maybe one or two other things that I want to go over. All right. Well, I was going to go over the whole cloning theme. Before I get there. Sorry, bear with me. Okay, so there was another post that had been going around about this woman, Esther or whatever, who was talking about how she had 2 daughters and she like had them 8 years apart, so then they would always be around for like for Jeffrey to have or whatever and do something with. And they had explained something about a turkey baster and like his great genius, meaning his man juice being all over the place and being displaced and wanting to be and needing to be used or whatever. It was a disgusting letter. And so she was talking about using a turkey baster of some sort. Anyway, this was going around on X and I was like, what the fuck is this? So I had to look up this Esther lady. Now, the document in question that people were referencing, and I don't know. Oh, because my internet's not working. That's why I can't see what it is. Well, it came out and it was actually a letter that was sent. It was a letter from like 2022. Now, I had gone into the Epstein Files themselves and I did a search for Esther. Just Esther. And the only time that this particular Esther came up was for that particular letter. So like I said, with everything, you take a grain of salt. Another Esther that I found, though, had a lot to do with something called she was presented as a New York angel. I can't remember her last name now. Gosh, and it's probably a good thing because my internet went out for some reason. And I don't know why. They're coming after me. Anyway, but I did find some other things that actually led me down the science rabbit hole. This woman has something to do with science. She had like mass emailed Epstein among other people between Peter Thiel and Elon Musk and the like. But the Esther with the turkey baster, she was just a part of cult out in Colorado. It was the Divine Running Club. That's a cult that I'd actually kind of want to research a little bit more because it seems kind of wild and out there. But I'm kind of disappointed because they wanted to go over some, not really disappointed, but a little. There are emails that start from like 2011. I think the one that kind of got me the most is in 2011. Epstein had messaged a person named Barnaby about different science-based things that he was interested in either investing in or looking more into. And that kind of progressed from there. So from that email, all of a sudden you see all these different things and him connecting to people who were from MIT or Harvard or, it's just scientists from all over the gamut, from Bitcoin all the way to genomics. So there's this kind of theme of designer, designer babies, as well as looking into blood. Like he was really into like getting blood work done and looking how, I don't know. It's just, I don't know. It was just a lot, but there's definitely different things. One other thing I wanted to point out, though, too, is if you can actually see it, you can see in some of the emails of him and other people, and it seems like some of them are women, not just men, are targeting other people to either, I don't know if it's either to, gain their knowledge or, blackmail or whatever, but you can tell that there's different things. Like there are people that they targeted for a particular purpose. But all I know is that looking through these files, like I said, definitely do it with the
big grain of salt. I've seen people be out there being like, oh, I looked up the word pizza and there was like 1,000 entries for pizza, or there's 1,000 results. Well, when you go through the files themselves, you have to like, it's a pain in the ass, because a lot of the times there's duplicates, triplicates. There's even 5, 6, 7 of the same email. And, or when it came to, what was I looking up? By the way, if anybody wants to help me out, I'm trying to look up the word punch. I don't know why. I was looking it up yesterday when I was on with Biz and the boys of Business Party Podcast, and the word punch came up with weird stuff. But there's a lot of information in there. When they tell you that it was an actual data dump, it was a data dump. Like, they threw everything in there. Even it's like some spam mail. I mean, it's everything. So any little thing that you try and find, it'll take time. But yeah, so I really wish that I had internet. I hope I did okay for my first time streaming on my own. Yeah, it was weird. And I don't know how I'm supposed to get off of this one, because I'm on my phone and I've never done StreamYard on my phone before either. So, yeah. If you guys have anything that you've seen, or if there's something that I have messed up on or I need correction on, just please let me know. I don't want to be out here being a misinformer. Like, that's not cool. So, yeah. And if you'd like us to do another show this week, let us know. Hopefully Jack will feel better. I feel so bad. I think God punished him a little bit for making fun of me for not feeling good last week. So sorry, Jack. Sorry. Anyway, but thank you all for your patience and everything, and I appreciate it. And you all have a great night, and I will see you all soon. Mwah. Bye.